Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Sane, and today I'm going to be doing a unit review, kind of doing three characters at once. This is going to be kind of comparing and contrasting the Swift Strike users, Sylvain, Ferdinand, and Seteth, often compared, just because Swift Strikes is probably the best combat art in the game, realistically, and like all of them are obviously like you pretty much recruit them and try to plan them out to be a Swift Strikes user. This is going to be mostly considering Maddening mode. This is gonna be comparing and contrasting these three. What separates them? Who is better? Who's worse? What route you should be using? Who and when? Who in? And everything like that. So let's just get right into it. So I'm gonna start with Sylvain. Sylvain is, well, personally, he's my favorite character in the game. Just overall, like I love him as a character, love him as a unit. I think he's awesome. So base stats wise, 27 HP is pretty normal. 9 strength is nice, a nice little start. 5 magic is okay, it doesn't really matter. 5 dex isn't great, but could be better. The 8 speed is pretty normal. 6 defense is pretty normal as well. 2 resistance and 7 charm. So nothing really like stand out base stats wise. And I'm going to take a look at Ferdinand to kind of compare real quick. You've got 8 strength, so 1 less, 1 worse, 1 higher HP, same magic, 1 higher dexterity, same speed. Same luck and defense, same resistance, and same charms. The only thing that is different between these characters is Sylvain has more strength but less dex, and Ferdinand has obviously more dex, less strength, and then 1 more HP. So if you kind of compare these two to, like, I guess your Sane and Kent from Fire Emblem 7, your standard Christmas Cavaliers. You've got Sylvain's kind of the stronger one with less accuracy, less speed, although they have equal speed. He's more the heavy hitter, while you have Ferdinand, who's the more I guess the dodge tank, the more accurate one. Pretty standard Christmas Cavalier, even though they do come in different routes, or come in different houses. They are basically the two Christmas Cavaliers of this game. I say reliably, or not reliably, but yeah, they're the Christmas Cavaliers of this game. If there are Christmas Cavaliers in this game. So proficiency wise, they are both very similar. Um, Both have proficiencies in lances, axes, and riding, while Sylvain has a budding talent in black magic, which gives him black magic crit plus 10, which just don't use him as a mage. Like, no matter what anyone says, Mage Sylvain isn't worth your time when you've got Swift Strike Sylvain, which is just so much better. He does have a weakness in bows, which kind of hurts in case you want to take him into Archer to get him hit plus 20, but still getting like D plus or C bows is not that hard, so you can definitely still do it. Ferdinand has a proficiency in swords, so in case you want to take him out of the sword line, he can definitely do that. He has a budding talent in heavy armor, which gives him, I think, seal speed, I believe. We'll get to that. We'll see that later. And then, obviously, it's still the same proficiency in riding. So both of these two are just made out to be Cavaliers. Like, it's kind of set in stone. They auto-level as Cavaliers. In case you recruit them out of house, they will both come as Cavaliers. Everything like that. And they both are neutral and flying, so if you want to take them into Wyvern lore, they could do that pretty easily. As, they can easily get the Axe and Lance rankings up, so they just have to work on their flying, which is pretty easy. You can do it. If you wanted to make either one of these a dancer, I'll say now, Ferdinand's definitely the better choice. More because of his personal skill than anything, but he also has a proficiency in swords, so if you wanted to do that. I don't think either of these two make good dancers. I think their combat is too desirable to, give it up for a dancer position, but anyways, yeah. So let's look at their personal abilities. This is what really starts kind of highlighting that, how I said, like, Sylvain's like the more heavy hitter one, while Ferdinand's more the dodge tank, more reliable hit. This is highlighted in their personal abilities so much. So if Sylvain is next to a female ally, like one space away, or like right next to each other, then he deals 2 more damage and he takes 2 less damage. This pairs really well with a character like Hilda, whose personal ability is she gives plus 3 damage to any adjacent male allies, so he can inherently get plus 5 damage. And then this also pairs well, like somebody like female Byleth, who gives him extra experience. There's plenty of good female units in the game, female frontliners. Edelgard always at Hilda and Byleth. Oh, you've got Leone, who plays off his ability really well too. You've even got like Catherine. Even put like a mage or a bow next to him and let them do some chip damage, and then he runs up right next to him and gets the damage buff. So really easy to set up. Consistent damage buff is always nice. Plus, they makes him take less damage too, which adds to his tankiness. Now, Ferdinand's personal ability So Sylvain personal ability hits on his strength and defense, while Ferdinand hits on his hit and avoid, his speed and dexterity basically. When he's at full HP, he gets plus 15 hit and plus 15 avoid. This helps him a lot because he basically doesn't need to go into Archer to get hit plus 20, but if you do get him hit plus 20, he basically has hit plus 35. That's really, really reliable since, maddening hit rates are pretty shaky sometimes. So that could be really, really reliable. And the plus 15 avoid, get him like a training lance or something, get him a good like lance prowess or training sword prowess. Get him a good battalion evasion ring, and then he just turns into a dodge tank who just has ridiculous void rating. So that's a really, really good dodge tank, and then really, really good tank. That's kind of how these two are. That's the best way to think of them. Different. That's the first thing that kind of separates these two. Like their proficiencies are the same, combat arts are pretty similar, but in terms of what they can accomplish, Sylvain definitely does more damage and takes less damage, while Ferdinand definitely has better hit rates and better dodge tank. So let's take a look at their growth rates. So Sylvain's growth rates is 55 HP, 45 strength, 30 magic, 35 dex, which isn't great, 50 speed, 35 luck, 40 defense, 25 resistance, and 40 charm. I think the highlights here is definitely like pretty average strength, pretty good average strength. Nice speed. I really like that 50 speed, and this 40 defense is pretty high. Like the other characters with 40 defense is someone like Dimitri, who's just a beast. And then like the tanks like Balthus, Raphael, Dedu have like 50 defense growth, so like he's pretty tanky. The 30 magic is like he's got like a decent spell list, but he's just so much better physically, so don't really worry about his magic growth at all. If you really want to use like a lightning axe or something, like a 11 axe, I think is what it is called, like bolt axe. I can't remember what it's called, but the magic variant of like an axe, or the spear of a Saul, or the magic spear, you can use that with Sylvain if you really want to. But again, just more focus on his physical combat. Ferdinand, he has 50% HP, which is pretty similar. 45% strength throw, so the same. Much worse magic. 40% dexterity, which is slightly better. 50% speed is the same speed. 40% luck, which is pretty much the same. 35% defense, which is very similar. 20 resistance, which is also pretty close by. And then 40 charm. So their growth rates are basically identical. All the things that switch around is that they have like maybe like a 5% difference in something, but that's not like a huge thing. Basically, if you think of them, when they get to level 10, you'll have 5 points in HP, 5 points in strength, 3 in magic, 3 to 4 in dex, 5 in luck, 3 to 4 in luck, 4 in defense, 2 to 3 in res, and 4 in charm. And Ferdinand will get 5 in HP, 4 to 5 in strength, 2 in magic, 4 in dexterity, 5 in speed, 4 in luck, 3 to 4 in defense, 2 in resistance, and 4 in charm. That's like statistically speaking, that's what he should turn out to be. So pretty similar. Like it's pretty similar. Obviously, growth rates are RNG, but so the growth rates are pretty much the same. Base stats are pretty similar. Sylvain having the 1 more strength, I think, is definitely nicer than the hit, since like, I mean, Ferdinand's hit, like having 6 dexterity doesn't really benefit his head as much as his personal skill does, and then Sylvain can just do more damage with personal skill. Let's take a look at their combat arts. So they both have Swift Strikes, which is really good. So Swift Strikes is basically the topic of the discussion here. 2 might, triggers 2 consecutive hits, adds a little bit of might to it, but this just automatically means they double. So they just automatically double, and they don't get attacked in between. So if they kill something, they won't get counterattacked if they kill it. Like so, like whenever you normally double a character, like you hit and then they hit and then you hit again. How Swift Strikes works is you hit twice and then they hit. So your single hit is basically 2 hits. Kind of like how gauntlets work. It's the brave effect, I guess. So Swift Strikes on these characters, who have 45% strength growth and can get Lance Fair, and obviously Sylvain with his damage buffs on characters is really good. Sylvain gets Monster Piercer at C+, while Ferdinand gets Shatter Slash. So this means Sylvain is going to do more damage against, like big monsters, obviously, because Monster Piercer is super effective against monsters. While Ferdinand is more of a debuffer, because Shatter Slash debuffs inflicting -5 defense on a turn on a foe for a turn, and he's the only one The other characters who get this are Ashe, Yuritsa, Gilbert, and Hilda. Only real, like, good characters here is Yuritsa, who's only available in one route, and Hilda. The other characters who get Monster Piercer from Sylvain is Dimitri, who becomes in the same route, Leone, and Seteth. So, other good contenders for Monster Piercer. It's a really good combat art, but there's other contenders for it. While Shadow Slash really only has reliably Hilda, because Yuritsa is only available in one route, and Gilbert's also only available in one route, and just yeah. So it's basically just him and Hilda, and then Ashe. Okay, but Ashe isn't good. So in terms of axe combat arts, neither of them have like really standout axe combat arts. Sylvain does get lightning axe, so if you want to attack with magic, you can. I guess like you can. The option is there. And Ferdinand, I believe, gets armored strike. So yeah, if you have him like in Fortress Knight or something, you can use armored strike. But I don't recommend doing armored strike or doing Fortress Knight for Ferdinand. So I really wouldn't worry about their axe combat arts much more. I think they're just so set in stone. Like lance users, lance stuff is so good. So let's take a look at their classes. So, or let's take a look at their recruitment. So this is another thing that sets them apart. Sylvain and Ferdinand both have pretty steep recruitment requirements. 10 dexterity is really not like that's pretty much base, but the C in heavy armor is really tricky because the only person who can train you in heavy armor is Gilbert, and he's not around all the time. So yeah, you're not really gonna get C heavy armor, and so you have to get him to a B support, but you can only do that in New Game Plus. So fresh file recruiting Ferdinand is just not happening, pretty much. You're pretty much not recruiting Ferdinand if you're playing the Golden Deer or the Blue Lions. However, he is available in 2 routes, so like that's obviously good. Or 1.5 routes, I guess. Sylvain requires 25 Charm and C Reason. That's also pretty steep, but at least, you know, Hanneman's pretty much always around. And Rhea can teach you Reason as well, so you've got more opportunities to train Reason. Also, if you just get them to like the point where they can use fire, they can obviously train that up. But the big thing about Sylvain is he's actually free if you use female Byleth, because Sylvain is a horn dog. So if you're a female Byleth, Sylvain comes for free, and free is always good. So if you want to use Sylvain, then use female Byleth. Oh no, you can't make your Byleth a War Master. Oh, but you can now make your Byleth Pegasus Knight, and you get a good unit for free. So unlimited availability. His availability is only rivaled by Byleth, of course, and the Ashen Wolves, who I'll recruit for free. Actually, no, because they don't even come in like a really important chapter. So he's got better availability than the Ashen Wolves. He's the only person in the game who has better availability than Sylvain, because he recruits for free, is Byleth. Like, of course, besides, you know, obviously a character in the house, but that's it. Or yeah, his availability is the same as Ashen Wolves because he's free. Ferdinand's availability is you're not getting him unless you're doing New Game Plus. Just you're not gonna get him because you cannot get him to B rank support. So you have to get your heavy armor to D plus. Obviously the dexterity you'll hit. Like this is base dexterity basically. But getting heavy armor D plus for Ferdinand is tough. Like you're gonna get him late, and it's also just like it's not worth it. Especially when you get a character who's basically the same for free. You know, it's much better to spend your time training Byleth into something else instead of recruiting Ferdinand. So Sylvain definitely has the recruitment over like Ferdinand, like 10 out of 10, like 10 to 1, Sylvain's favor. So we've been talking about these two a lot. Let's talk about Seteth for a second. Seteth, his personal ability is Guardian, which gives +3 damage to any adjacent female allies, which is the reverse of Hilda's. So he can inherently buff somebody like Leone, who has the same kind of personal skill as Byleth, so he pairs really well with Leone. He can also work well with, you know, like Hilda. He would work well with Edelgard, but they can never be in the same route. Someone like Catherine, somebody like Shamir, Byleth, any of your mages. So really, really nice personal skill. Always love getting increased damage output. But unlike Sylvain, he gives damage output to them, while Sylvain takes the damage output for himself. Efficiencies are pretty similar. Sword, Lance, Axe. He also has proficiency, and it comes with B plus authority, or B in Maddening mode, so that's great authority. He does have a weakness in riding, which I think is kind of annoying to deal with, and he has a proficiency in flying, but only comes with C, and he comes as a Wyvern Rider, so it's kind of weird. So he will join you basically halfway through the game. Basically, he's only available in Part 2 or the last chapter of Part 1. in all routes. And in Crimson Flower, you can't get Sylvain, or you can't get Seteth, so don't even worry about him. But he comes obviously as a Wyvern Rider. He has Rally Defense, which is nice. I don't think either of these two have any rallies. I think Ferdinand has Rally Dexterity. Yes, you can get Rally Dexterity at D, so that's always nice. Not that you're going to be using it that much, but he has the option there, I guess. And Sylvain doesn't have any kind of rallies. So both of these guys can pretty easily get weight -3 from heavy armor if you want to do that. That can help out when you use them. But back to Seteth. So Rally Defense, that can be, you know, pretty nice, but also not like huge. Not game breaking. He comes with Monster Piercer, like Sylvain gets, and he's at B rank, B+, and in all other modes. And Maddening comes at B, so he's pretty close to getting Swift Strikes. So look at his growth rates, pretty much the same as the other two, you know. He's got better Dexterity, while they have like 35-40. He has better Dexterity, but he has less Defense, while they have 35-40. He also has slightly better Charm, but it's pretty close. So Seteth is basically your pre-promote Ferdinand Sylvain. It's like very like same strength, same HP basically. Magic is slightly better, but also like his magic list isn't really good either. Definitely should be physical. Dexterity growth is definitely better. Speed is the same. Luck is the same. Defense is slightly lower, but it doesn't really matter that much. Resistance is the same. Charm is basically the same. So growth rates wise, these guys are all exactly identical. That's funny. Instead of having Christmas Cavaliers, you actually have, well, you have the Christmas Cavaliers and you have like the Jagan or the Marcus, but they're all like the same. So I just think it's really funny. Base stats wise, Seteth comes level 23 with 27 strength. That's really great. 20 dexterity for good hit. 19 speed. That's very solid. 21 defense. That's really great. 8 resistance could be better. 12 luck. 20 charm. Solid. 40 HP. Like really good base stats. Really reliable base stats for a pre-promo who comes halfway through the game. Now combat arts. Take a look at this. It's Haze Slice, which hits off of just gives a bunch of avoid. So in case you want to use Sword Seteth, you can, I guess. But I don't know why you would. Honestly, I don't know why you would. He gets Swift Strikes at A, obviously has Monster Piercer, so he has the same combat arts as Sylvain. We already talked about Swift Strikes. And then for axes, he gets Diamond Axe, which sacrifices hit for might. So if you really wanted him to use axes and just hit really hard with axes, you can try Diamond Axe. And then he gets Rally Defense, and he gets Rally Resistance at S, but like that's not good, so I don't really worry about his rallies at all. So yeah, you get Sylvain and Ferdinand, who's like your Swift Strikes user that you train up through the game, and then halfway through you grab Seteth and you have another one. Or you can use all three. I say that you're using in Black Eagles or Silver Snow, you can use all three very reliably, because if you use Film of Byleth, you recruit Sylvain for free, and then you get Seteth later on for free as well. So you can use 3 Swift Strikes users. Now let's take a look at classes. So obviously Seteth comes as a Wyvern Rider, so he's going to be there. You have to work on his riding a little bit to get him up to A, so he can turn into Wyvern Lord. But he's pretty close to that threshold already. And both Sylvain and Ferdinand will auto-level as Cavaliers if you do not recruit them yet, and as enemies. So Cavalier it lowers their speed a little bit, but it helps them out in defense and strength. It fits them very perfectly. They both get Canto, and as Paladins they will get Lance Fair, which will increase their damage of their Swift Strikes even more. They both also have proficiencies in Axe, so they can easily get into Brigand, get Death Blow, so they can do Death Blow, plus Lance Fair, and just have an auto plus 11 to Swift Strikes. They could do a lot of damage there. And it's really easy to just set it and forget it for them to be just train them on Lances, get their riding up. Really easy to set it and forget it for Paladin. I definitely would not recommend going into Great Knight because it just lowers their speed so much. Like, both these characters have good speed. Even though Paladin lowers their speed a little bit, like, it's not the worst thing in the world, but just lowering their speed as much as they do in Great Knight is just not worth it. Like, it's literally not worth it at all. Plus, then you have to work on the Axe and heavy armor. It's just, there's so much requirements. Great Knight just sucks. So Paladin all the way. What else you can do with them is you can also take them into you can take a Brigand, of course, and then take them Wyvern Rider, and then take them into Wyvern Lord. Even if you still want to focus Lances, which I would recommend you still do. Because you need a Lance level for Wyvern Rider anyway, so you have to level up easier. This definitely takes some work because you have to work on their flying, which they don't just naturally get as well. And you have to work on Axe all the way up to A. But they do get Canto, and they do get Avoid +10. This really helps Ferdinand out, obviously, because he gets the Avoid +15 at full HP. Sylvain doesn't help out just as much, but he still has really good speed, so they can both be really good dodge tanks, especially with Alert Stance Plus. They can work out. You lose Lancefair, but they still are just going to do such good damage, and the Wyvern Lord just gives such good strength growth boosts anyways that it doesn't matter as much. So yeah, both of them flying Swift Strike users. You can have 3 flying Swift Strike users in Silver Snow, and it's just hilarious. Like you just fly around, blow things up. It's funny. So Wyvern Lord, Paladin, great classes for all 3. Even though Seteth has a boon in riding, I think in Fresh File just take him into Wyvern Lord. But in New Game Plus, you could totally take him into Paladin. Give him Lancefair if you want to do. It's pretty much the same class lines for all 3 of them. Now, the only one who I think can do something different is Ferdinand. As I mentioned, Dancer Ferdinand can work out, because when you are a Dancer, you get Sword Avoid +20 from mastering it, and that way he can have a really speedy dodge tank. So Ferdinand, who just never gets hit and is always at full HP. You can totally do that if you want to. Although I definitely would say that's his worst good class, I guess. So Paladin, Wyvern Lord for all 3 of them. So what differentiates these guys? Who's better, who's worst? Who's worse? So in terms of just pure recruitment, Ferdinand is missing out on the other 2 by a lot. He is so hard to recruit just because of that heavy armor ranking, while Sylvain just comes for free at the beginning of the game whenever you want it to come, if you're female Byleth, and then Seteth comes for free but halfway through the game. So Sylvain has perfect availability, Seteth has only half availability, and then Ferdinand could have perfect availability, but comes too late. Now in Black Eagle Silver Snow, obviously he's got slightly better availability than both of these 2, so the topic kind of changes in those routes a little bit, but Ferdinand's more the dodge tank, while Sylvain's more of a tank, like a personal tank, and then Seteth's more of a support tank, I guess. He kind of buffs somebody else. That's the huge. Sylvain and Seteth are very similar in terms they're both going to be more of a tankier one, and then Ferdinand's going to be more dodge tank. If I had to put them on a tier list, just overall, considering all 3 routes, or all 4 routes, I would put Sylvain as the best, then Seteth, and then Ferdinand just slightly behind. But if we're considering Silver Snow or Crimson Flower, obviously Seteth's not available in Crimson Flower, so I would still probably put Sylvain above Ferdinand, solely just because he gets Lewin, or not Lewin, he gets the Lance of Ruin, so he gets a relic. Also, he can, I think just the damage buffs are a little bit better than the speed tank, but the dodge tank buff, because Sylvain can still be a dodge tank if he in a Wyvern Lord class, while Ferdinand won't ever have the same damage output as Sylvain. So I would still put Sylvain a little bit higher than Ferdinand, but these 2 are pretty interchangeable in the Black Eagle house, and then Seteth is the worst out of the 3. But in Blue Lions and Golden Deer, Ferdinand is definitely the worst here. So who should you use? Whoever you want. Whatever route you're playing, if you're playing Crimson Flower, you use Ferdinand, obviously. If you're not playing Crimson Flower or Black Eagle house, don't use Ferdinand. Just don't do it. Use Sylvain instead. Always recruit Sylvain. He's for free. Use all 3 if you want. In Silver Snow, you can use all 3. I mean, in Blue Lions, Golden Deer, you can use all 3, New Game Plus Ferdinand. But if you want to use all 3, use all 3. 3 Swift Strike users. That's they're all gonna go blow things up anyway. So yeah, you go for it. All really, really good units. All just absolutely monstrous combat units. Really good movement. Really good class lines. Really good combat arts. Not just Swift Strikes. Monster Piercer on these 2 is really nice for handling scary monsters. And then Shatter Slash is a good debuff. Helps set up big scary bosses monsters, and even just a boss that has just ludicrous HP or something. And yeah, these guys are all really good. I always recommend using these at least 2, 1 to 2 of them. I wouldn't always recommend using all 3 just because it's a little redundant. But definitely use at least 1 of Sylvain or Ferdinand almost always, and then Seteth is always reliable if you got room on your team. He's also just a filler, comes out of the box ready to go. Yeah, all really good in maddening mode, all really good units, all very similar, but still have some of the differences. And yeah, that's going to do it for this video. I hope you guys like this kind of group unit review, like a Swift Strikes unit review, basically. Let me know what you want to see next. Like if there's another combat art you want to see me kind of do, if like maybe point blank volley with Leonie Cyril or something like that, or the windsweep users, or I don't know, something like that. Or if you just want to see an individual character, let me know if you want to just see me go more individual on these 3 units. Like if you want to see like a Sylvain dedicated video or a Seteth dedicated video, stuff like that. Yeah, follow me on Twitch to see my Maddening runs. Twitch.tv/sane_j. Help support this channel so I can grow. I really appreciate it, and I hope you guys like this content, and I will see you in the next video. Have a good one.